Now we're ready to test fit our stringer into our space. And the first thing that we need to do is we need to figure out exactly where the top of our stringer needs to land on the face of our floor joist and ultimately our hanger board. So what we're going to need to do is determine the distance from our, in this case, subfloor to the top of our stringer, the top of our top tread. So here is a small offcut of our OSB stepping material that we'll be using for our tread material. It's going to sit on top of our stringer like so, and the top of our tread, our OSB stepping, to the top of our subfloor should be 1 unit rise. This is an example of the same finish material going on everything. If you have different finish materials going on the upper floor relative to the stair treads, this process is a little different, and we'll cover that in a separate video. But for now, we're assuming this gets all carpet the same thickness. So I want to measure from this point to the top of my tread board 1 unit rise. So here's our drawing that we've made. Here is the top of our subfloor, and here's the top of our OSB stepping. And our unit rise in this case is 7 9/16. So we want to measure from top of subfloor to top of our OSB stepping tread that same 7 9/16. So I've set the top of my tape at the surface of the subfloor. I'm going to measure down 1 unit rise to my mark, and that would be 7 9/16. Now I'm going to measure the thickness of my OSB tread. It is 1 inch thick, so I'm going to mark that on my board as well. So this is my mark to the top of my tread. So I'm going to come down 1 inch, that is the thickness of my tread, and make another mark. That second mark is going to be the top of my stringer. So right now, I have the top of my stringer set at my unit rise, 7 9/16. It is level and flush on the floor. We have not yet compensated for the thickness of the tread in our stringer, so we're going to show you how to drop our stringer to take up that 1 inch thickness of the tread so that the top of our tread will be at the 7 9/16 mark. So from the top of our subfloor to the top of our sub tread is 7 9/16. That is our unit rise. We have the thickness of our tread at 1 inch, and right here will be the top of our stringer that we will set to that location. When we first place our stringer against our hanger board here, we notice if we fit it perfectly flush to the floor and tight to the face of the hanger board, that it wants to sit up here at the top of the tread. That's because we have not yet compensated or taken into account the tread thickness as we've cut the stringer. As you can see down here, our treads are pretty level. So we simply need to adjust for that tread thickness. We're ready to adjust for our tread thickness, and we're going to what we call drop the stringer. Our tread wants to sit right there. So you might think that we're going to want to cut the top of each of our treads down by the thickness, the top of our stringer down by the thickness of a tread. But actually, the most efficient way to do that is to take 1 tread thickness off of the bottom of the stringer, and once we've taken that off, the whole stringer will drop down by the thickness of the tread, and each riser should be the correct unit rise. So here's the bottom of our stringer before we've adjusted. And this is actually fitting fairly tight, but if your floor is out of level one way or another, you may have a gap at the front or at the back. What we're going to do is we're going to take our little piece of sample tread, we're going to lay it flat on our floor, and that is going to represent one tread thickness. And it's also, since it's laying flat on our floor, whatever angle or whatever out of levelness that floor may be, will exactly scribe the bottom of our stringer. So we're simply going to lay this flat and mark our line across the bottom of our stringer. So in review, we start at our subfloor and we mark on our face of our board here, our hanger board, down 1 unit rise, 7 9/16. Find the top of our tread. Currently we have our stringer mocked up to that point there, but we'll be dropping that for that tread thickness here in just a minute. Ultimately, the top of our stringer should land at this second mark here, down 1 tread thickness. Down at the bottom, we've scribed, based on the thickness of our tread, the drop of our stringer, and we're ready to cut that stringer bottom. So now we're ready to do one final fit of our stringer. So now you can see that the top of our stringer is where it should be. And if we put our level, we're pretty close to dead level. And if we put our sample tread on top, we measure up, we have 1 unit rise, 7 9/16. We're now ready to do a final check of our stair. At the top, we should have 1 unit rise. And if we mock up a sample tread on the bottom, we should also have 1 unit rise.